I mean, I've been the chief for 15 years and I've been on ice rescue calls. This was as tense as I've probably seen it, because we knew that we had to get out to them or they were going to go under.
It's a positive outcome, and it's a, this case is a once in a career type of incident where there's actually two people in the ice.
Where rescuers say two men are incredibly lucky to have been pulled out of this freezing pond in Hanson. They are hospitalized tonight, but they are recovering. Those men fell.
The call came in. We were actually at a medical, and call came in for multiple calls that people were in the ice at Camp Kawani Pond. So at that time, we had to make a decision on what resources we needed, and if it in fact is a legit incident. And it was on New Year's Eve, which complicates things because staffing, who's around.
I'm at home on a New Year's Eve and I hear the call, and Lieutenant Wilson alluded to the fact of staffing, and they had just come from a call where they got a patient refusal. So they were able to respond to this incident with 4 people.
When we arrived, some of the challenges we faced were lighting, trying to find out how many victims were in the water, location.
Yeah, so firefighter White and myself were the first on scene. We showed up in the ambulance. We were responding from a second medical. So firefighter White had already put on the survival suit that was in the ambulance. We get out, turn the scene lights on. We can immediately see them and hear them screaming. So it was already very tense from the get-go. The second crews that we were with showed up shortly afterwards, got a second survival suit. I got suited up, and then we had to walk about a quarter of a mile through a pretty narrow, dark path just to get the access point for them. They were just screaming the whole time. It felt like an eternity, but we made sure that we had all the safety precautions in place. Firefighter White was very proficient with knots, made sure we were all tethered up properly to the sled and everything before we launched. And then we got in the water and made our way up to them.
When I arrived, they were well into the operation. And by me arriving, I was able to relieve Lieutenant Wilson of some of the things that he was starting to think about, like additional resources, like a couple ambulances and extra staff, and focus solely on the rescue.
They're approximately 100 yards out. We didn't have a lot of time. They were only, they were in the water approximately 15 to 20 minutes at that point. So we didn't have a lot of time to prepare. And that's really where we depend on our training. And that's actually paid off that night.
Myself and firefighter Roya, we went to the other side where the boat ramp was, and at the same time that our members were trying to get out there, we were trying to crash through the ice from the other side, because we just figured either one or the other, we could get out there and get a hold of them. It ended up being that firefighter White and firefighter Summers got out there in the survival suits.
The first probably 50 to 100 feet was water with some thin ice. We thought there was gonna be smooth sailing, and then when we got about halfway to them, it got to ice that was way thicker than we thought it was. We started having to break through it by hand. It was a tough time, but we were able to get through it using our hands and elbows and slowly make our way to them. And it took a little bit longer than we would have liked because of those conditions, but we did finally make it out to them and were able to get a hold of them. They were definitely hurting. They were getting tired. You could hear it in their voices. When we got there, we were able to get a hold of the first one. And at that point, the second one had let go of the overturned canoe that they were using to stay afloat. And at that point, the second one had gone pretty much unresponsive at that point. He was able to make a couple sounds, but he wasn't answering any of our questions. So we just got them out of the water as fast as we could. We got them back to the shore.
And once the 2 victims were out of the water, the challenges didn't end there. Paramedics had to carry them down this uneven path in the darkness to ambulances that were waiting in the parking lot.
It's definitely a good outcome, and we were very glad to find out that they were discharged from the hospital a couple days later, and both of them are back to living normal life. So we can't really ask for more than that. That's why we take this job. That's what we train for, and that's what everything worked out perfectly. So,
we say this a lot. This call is what we signed up for. So everything paid off. The stars were aligned. All the equipment worked. Training paid off, and as a result, we had a positive outcome. So I think this is what we signed up for, and these are the type of calls that we train for and prepare for. So again, this is a great team effort, and proud of the guys, proud of the department.
It's a good thing that the Department of Fire Services has these awards to be able to recognize, the members for any efforts that are extraordinary. We all signed up for this, like Lieutenant Wilson said. We all signed up for this. It's part of our job, but I do think it's good to recognize any events that are a little bit above and beyond what we normally deal with.
It's definitely humbling, but like I said, that at the end of the day, that's why we do this job. That's what we train for. It makes everything all work for what we work for every day.